Hi, guys. Come on in. Type in freedom now. Freedom now. President Trump has called for the permanent pausing of immigration from third world countries. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about his Truth Social post and 11, 11 big policy points that he mentioned in his most recent Truth Social post. Friends, we have some very serious things to discuss in today's live session. I hope you had a terrific Thanksgiving with your family and with your friends. But be sure to share this live session with those in your circle, with your feed, because the information that we're going to discuss today is super important. Guys, I'm Latoya McBean Pompey. For those of you who are new to me, welcome. I'm an immigration lawyer in New York, working with clients nationwide at McBean Law, where we believe in immigration freedom. As you're coming on in, type in freedom now. I see that folks are joining from McBean Immigration TV and Facebook. Thank you so much. Guys, share this with others, okay? At the end of this live session, other people will need to know about this, okay? Um, Friends, this is one of those events that changes everything, right? I was reflecting on what happened this week with the tragic shooting that occurred on Thanksgiving Eve of the two National Guard members in Washington, D.C. And tragically, we've learned that one of them, she passed away and she was only 20 years old. She was brutally killed by an Afghan national. And this has significant implications for immigration. But I was thinking about all of this, and it reminded me of when 9/11 happened. Hold on for a minute. Right after 9/11, about a year later, I went to work on Capitol Hill as a young intern. And everyone in Washington, D.C. kept saying at that time, oh, 9/11 changed everything. It changed D.C. Every single person who I encountered around that time kept saying how much it had changed Washington, D.C. I think what happened this week, it feels to me similarly to how I felt back in those days, that this changes immigration, at least under this Trump 2.0. It changes immigration in a significant way, and we're going to get into it. Unfortunately, the two National Guard members were killed. One was killed. Or one, I believe, is still in critical condition, and apparently he was those two individuals, and I'll just pull this up here, were shot by this man here who came to the United States under President Biden's Operation Allies Welcome. He was flown in along with other folks from Afghanistan after working with the US government in Afghanistan. Excuse me. It's been reported that and confirmed, of course, by the government, that he worked with the CIA. And he applied for asylum, friends, last year in 2024, and he was granted asylum this past April. And as of today, I don't think anyone really knows what the motive was, what drove him to do this horrific thing. But this has huge implications for immigration because he was granted asylum. Okay, and he was brought in through a process that President Biden at the time had in place. And so now here you have this horrific event. And of course, President Trump they're going very hard on this, guys, really hard on this. And I'm going to play a clip right now of President Trump's speech right after the shooting had occurred.
We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden, and we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. If they can't love our country, we don't want them. America will never bend and never yield in the face of terror. And at the same time, we will not be deterred from the mission these service members were so nobly fulfilling. That is why tonight I can announce that I have directed the Department of War to mobilize an additional 500 troops to help protect our capital city. We will make America totally safe again, and we will bring the perpetrator of this barbaric attack to swift and certain justice if the bullets going in the opposite direction haven't already done that. During this time of the year, when we gather at home with loved ones, these two patriots were wearing the uniform of our country, patrolling the streets of our capital. They had taken a selfless oath to defend our nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that is exactly what they were doing when they were gunned down in a savage attack.
Okay, so there you have it, right? President Trump has, he obviously that's part of his response. We're going to get into the meat of his response momentarily through a Truth Social post that was sent out in the middle of the night last night, and it's really, really strong. Now, how has USCIS responded to this? Okay, USCIS has responded in a very strong way as well. According to USCIS director Edlow, he immediately tweeted, at the direction of POTUS, I have directed a full-scale, rigorous re-examination of every green card for every alien from every country of concern. Okay? Every green card for every alien from every country of concern. And when the media pressed USCIS or DHS about what do they actually mean, what are these countries of concern, USCIS eventually issued a press release talking about some additional national security measures that they're going to take. And I'll share with you momentarily what those measures are. But they put out this statement saying that, they're going to obviously look at 19 countries, okay, that are considered high-risk countries pursuant to a presidential proclamation. And the presidential proclamation points specifically to the travel ban proclamation that was issued several months ago, listing those 19 countries that we now have a travel ban against. Now, also, guys, DHS issued, Tricia McLaughlin, who's the assistant secretary for DHS, told CNN, effective immediately, processing of all immigration requests relating to Afghan nationals is stopped indefinitely, pending further review of security and vetting protocols. So here you have her honing in specifically on Afghan nationals. But then it gets broader than that. Then she says the Trump administration is also reviewing all asylum cases approved under the Biden administration. I don't know what the numbers are, guys, but I can imagine that there were a lot of asylum approvals under the Biden administration. Now, this is incredibly broad. It's significant because at the same time, and I hadn't even shared this with you guys yet, I had been preparing to share it with you, the fact that the government is also going to be reviewing, like, every refugee admissions dating back to 2021. And we're talking about I believe, over 200,000 people. They're going to go back to all those applications, call some people in for interviews. So you have that going on. Now you have this new thing going on, which was initially pretty narrowly focused on Afghanistan nationals. And now DHS is making statements to suggest that they're going to expand this review to all asylum applicants who were approved under the Biden administration. Just going, let's see, if I could go back to DHS for a minute here, no, to USCIS for a minute here. USCIS, guys, had also issued a press release, and you should go to USCIS's website, or if you're on their email list, you would have seen their email. I think it came out last night. I'm not sure, but they've issued a new guidance to their officers who are reviewing these immigration cases. And the guidance tells these officers now that they're to treat what is called country-specific risk factors as significant negative factors in immigration decisions. So what this means is that the 19 high-risk countries, right? Again, these are the travel ban countries that we understand so far, okay? Looking at folks who are from one of those 19 high-risk countries, and considering things like, well, was the ID that we're now looking at here, the birth certificate or the passport or whatever that secure ID is it really is it really issued? Was it issued properly, so to speak, right? Does this country have the capability of issuing secure identity so that we can verify who these individuals are? And then there are other security concerns that USCIS will be looking at and treating as a very negative factor, which means that they will be denying these applications. And we're talking about adjustment of status, we're talking about asylum applications, naturalization applications, waivers like the I-601, the I-212, and some other waivers, temporary protected status, parole and humanitarian parole, as well as deferred action and others. Anything that is within their discretion, they are going to now look at these countries and whether you're from these countries and consider it to be a very negative thing. And we're talking, of course, about Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, DR Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Cuba, Laos, Venezuela, Sierra Leone, Togo, and others. Okay, go back to the old travel ban videos, and you'll get a good breakdown of what I've shared in the past about these countries on this travel ban list. So this affects all pending and future applications filed on or after November 27th, 2025. And again, USCIS is framing this around the fact that American lives come first. And the director has criticized the Biden administration's vetting standards, claiming they prioritized rapid resettlement from high-risk countries, and that they need to put in place stricter screening protocols. But again, guys, this horrific person who committed this horrific crime, um, was approved for asylum in April of this year. He was vetted. He was working with the CIA. We don't know, right? How could this have happened, right? How did this happen? That's what they're all scratching their heads thinking. How in the world could something like this have happened? So now the government is responding in a broad way with respect to this. And it is not only Afghan nationals who will be impacted by this, it's a whole lot of people. Now, let's go into President Trump's tweet, or Truth Social message, I should say, from last night. Because last night, I think many of us woke up for those of us who went to bed early, we woke up to the news that President Trump is calling for to permanently pause migration from all third world countries. Third world countries. Okay. Now, this is the Truth Social post. He says here, hold on a second, let me pull it up from my end. Even as we have progressed technologically, immigration policy has eroded those gains and living conditions for many. I will permanently pause migration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover, terminate all of the millions of Biden illegal admissions, including those signed by Sleepy Joe Biden's auto pen. and remove anyone who is not a net asset to the United States or is incapable of loving our country, and all federal benefits and subsidies to non-citizens of our country, denaturalize migrants who undermine domestic tranquility, and deport any foreign national who is a public charge, security risk, or non-compatible with Western civilization. These goals will be pursued with the aim of achieving a major reduction in illegal and disruptive populations, including those admitted through an unauthorized and illegal auto pen approval process. Only reverse migration can fully cure this situation. Other than that, happy Thanksgiving to all, except those that hate, steal, murder, and destroy everything that America stands for. You won't be here for long. Okay, that's a mouthful. That's a lot, right? And so we've got to break this down. We've got to make this digestible. Okay, so let me pull up a document that I've titled my notes. Okay, these are my notes about what all of this I think means. Okay, let's see if I could do this. Here it is. Okay. Explaining President Trump's Truth Social posts. This is his reverse migration plan. Some of this is not new to us because the administration have been pushing a lot of these ideas over the past year. And so some of this is really not new. The first issue here or policy that is being proposed is to permanently pause migration from all third world countries so as to allow the United States to recover, to fully recover. This goes to the idea that we've been talking about with respect to levels, lowering the levels of immigration, right? And I don't know how a permanent pause would actually work if it's permanent. How could it be a pause? I don't know how that would work. So that's, and we don't also know which specific third world countries he's referring to. Further guidance, obviously, we'll know. I don't know, maybe in the days to come. I'm suspecting that they're just going to go very hardcore on cutting, pausing admissions from African countries, number one, maybe some Latin American countries, but certainly African countries, I'm expecting to see a broader travel ban. So more travel bans are potentially coming. The second thing that he talked about is terminating terminating the prior immigrant admissions of millions who entered under Biden. Okay. Okay. So we've already seen this, right? They've canceled a lot of those, all of those parole programs, the catch and release, all of that is, they're gone. TPS designations and extensions and all of those things are over. He's ending TPS for many different countries. So a lot of this has already started, okay? A lot of this has already started. Then it goes into deportations. And this is incredibly broad, right? Incredibly broad. Remove anyone he considers not a net asset to the United States. I don't know who that could be. I don't know. Remove anyone who is incapable of loving our country. Again, very broad. Remove anyone who is a public charge, right? Public charge is back. The factors that they're considering are incredibly broad. They're looking to deny a green card and also admission into the United States for individuals who might have tapped into public benefits or don't have enough assets, or even if your U.S. citizen family member had tapped into food stamps or some public benefits, you immigrant, you might be denied for your green card. I have more to talk with you about public charge, so please be patient with me. I'm trying to, organize everything for you guys, but I'm ready to go on public charge. But this is the most important thing today. Then he says, remove anyone who is viewed as a security risk, remove anyone judged non-compliant with Western civilization. Guys, this is lofty, it's broad. We have no idea who could be impacted by this. Then it makes changes to his proposal or his Truth Social post makes changes to public benefits. green card holders. I want you to note that he mentioned non-citizens here, okay? And all federal benefits and subsidies for non-citizens, and that includes green card holders and any other legal non-citizen. Denaturalization, strip U.S. citizenship from naturalized immigrants accused of undermining domestic tranquility. Then there's this whole idea about reverse migration, reduce what he calls illegal and disruptive populations, including those he says were admitted through unauthorized auto pen approvals, and pursue a broad agenda of reverse migration to fully cure the problem, meaning scaling back the existing immigrant population through removal. This is a lot. This is a lot. And I have to wonder whether someone else might have written part of that Truth Social post. I don't know, because it was very specific with respect to these policy priorities. They're looking to really shut down immigration. That's how I'm that's how I view this. Shut down immigration from many different sides. Shut it down from the side of those flowing into the United States. Shut it down from inside the United States. They will encounter some problems with respect to those 19 travel ban countries, right? Because if they're going to try to shut down immigration inside of the United States for those folks who are already here in the United States, um, based on the law that they're relying on for the travel ban, which is legal, um, they're going to have a problem because the travel ban suspends the entry of immigrants flowing into the United States. So you can't rely on that particular law to say, okay, now we're going to shut down immigration for individuals from one of these 19 countries based on that same law. They're going to encounter a legal problem. I also think that as they slowly shut things down, of course, there will be more litigation along the way, because if they provide improper notice about what they're doing, or if they're doing something that's counter to what Congress set up, they're going to encounter some very strong legal pushback. But for now, just know that in response to the horrific tragedy that should not have happened, those two people, that young lady should be here with us right now serving her country. She didn't deserve to die in such a brutal manner. Um, in response to that, the government is going hardcore on immigration. So your case might be caught up in this. Your case most likely will be caught up if you're from one of those 19 countries. Okay. And then I don't know yet how it's going to impact people who applied for asylum, because earlier you heard me, I pulled up that statement from DHS indicating that they're gonna review all asylum cases that were approved under the Biden administration. So, and then if you came in as a refugee, they're going to be reviewing your application as well. So, if be ready for another interview. And if they try to revoke your green card, just know that there are ways of fighting it. There is a legal process to fight it. If they place you in removal, there's a legal process to, you've got to just keep pushing all the way until the end. But again, litigation, I think, is going to challenge a lot of what we're seeing right now. So, guys, that's what's going on. That President Trump has called for the permanent pausing of migration from third world countries. Um, we don't know which countries he's actually referring to. We'll see how this goes. Okay. I'll just take a few questions before I go this afternoon. Is it still safe for a mandamus lawsuit? Yeah, you know what? If you have been waiting for an unfairly long time for your case to be processed and it's causing you some real problems, absolutely work with your lawyer on suing the government. Everything now, like I said earlier, things are changing. Things have changed, I think, significantly now as a result of what happened this week. Um, so for some of you, you really will need a strong strategy before you approach immigration or even take strong actions like suing the government. It just really depends on what your case is. All right. Let's see. Let's see. I'm going to ban a couple of people here who are distracting us. Someone is asking, does that mean the whole of Africa is banned? Just to be clear, aside from those 19 countries, those high-risk countries, there is no other travel ban right now. I'm sure the government is working on something in light of what happened this week. But third world countries, I'm thinking African countries will most certainly. They were, you know, we know, right? That over the years, President Trump was never a fan of African countries. He said it a number of times. I don't have to repeat what he said here. We just know that there is something there that he's not a fan of. And so it would not surprise me at all if other African countries, or maybe the whole continent, I don't know, that's going to be a problem, right? Because you have Nigeria, which is very strong and powerful. You have South Africa, you have some others, Ghana. We have good relationships with a lot of these countries. So it's going to present a foreign policy problem as well. Okay. With regard to public charge, for proposed public charge, yeah, with regard to that, they're making it, if you were following me back in gosh, when was it? 2018, 2019. I was really, really obsessed with public charge and just I had so many resources out there and I kept talking about it because at the time, the Trump administration had put in place a very strong policy to weed a lot of people out who did not meet a certain threshold. And so then the Biden administration came into office and they rolled back those harsh requirements. And now what they've proposed, which is not the law yet, it is not in effect yet, what they've proposed is actually much stronger than Trump 1.0's public charge. It's much broader, and I'm going to break it down for you guys in a separate live session. Okay. What other questions do you have before we get off today? Permanent pause. Stan says permanent pause is language to try and keep the order from being declared illegal by the courts. Yeah, they're going to try, obviously, they're going to have a justification. They have to have some sort of justification. It can't be permanent, right? When things happen like this, it cannot be a permanent change. Only Congress can make certain permanent changes. Um, is it possible that they're going to look to codify or make law some things? Yeah, that's definitely a big push by some Republicans. They really want to make a lot of these changes lasting permanent changes by codifying them. Um, how about how about those who are married? How about marriage-based green card cases inside the United States for Afghanistan folks? I don't think they're not processing those. They said that they're pausing everything. They're pausing all applications connected with any Afghan national. They are pausing all of your cases. Let's go up a little bit. Can a president permanently ban immigration forever or only during his term or during his term? So a president can obviously put in place different policies, and then the next president who disagrees with those policies can change them. If they go through lengthy rulemaking, which is a longer, harder process to make some changes, kind of permanent, so to speak, they can do that. But can those regulations be rolled back? Yes, in a hard, slower way. And then Congress, like I said, can makes the permanent changes. Okay. Um, My sister has an interview coming up. Does it mean we should be concerned about her not being issued her visa? Well, if she's from one of those 19 countries, then yeah, she most likely she's going to face a problem. Um, Folks here in the United States, USCIS is, like I said earlier, is looking to deny these applications for a lot of people. But again, based on discretion, looking at their country and saying, okay, that's a negative factor because this person is from Cuba, and we don't think Cuba's security we have some national security concerns there. And so that's the reason why we're going to deny this green card application. That's what USCIS says it's going to be doing going forward. It's going to be interesting to see how they treat the asylum applications. The folks who have already been granted asylum and received their green card. What is USCIS going to do? Just send out a letter to people and say your case is under review, or just call people in for a second interview. I think it's going to be chaotic. And then, guys, here's what I also think, that as they do this big shift, they're going to make this big shift to do all of this review. It's going to obviously take away from regular cases, right? Other cases, because they only have so many people working for them. So I think that this is going to lead to a slowdown for some other cases out there. Okay, so information that I forgot to share with you guys. There are 190,000 Afghans who resettled in the United States since the U.S. military withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021. Also, just a review before we go, USCIS has said that they are going to re-examine all green cards, okay, from countries of concern. DHS press person said that they're going to review all asylum cases approved under Biden. And USCIS, going back to USCIS, they have this new guidance that they've issued to their officers to treat country-specific risk factors as significant negative factor in making its immigration decisions. And applications that will be impacted are asylum applications, adjustment of status applications, naturalization, waivers, TPS, parole, humanitarian parole, deferred action, and some others. So USCIS is going to be working maybe overtime now to review all of any asylum application that was approved under the Biden administration. Let's go down a little bit here. Thank you, guys. Guys, I see, someone says here, great show today. Thank you for saying that, because trust me, pulling everything together was a challenge. It really was, because there's a lot going on, and I don't want you guys to be confused. There's the refugee review process that's new and underway for anyone who entered as a refugee since 2021. They are now opening up all of those old cases and conducting a review, and will be interviewing people again, even people who are already here settled with their green card and living their life. So expect some disruptions there if you entered as a refugee. Then you had this horrific event this week. And because of that event, our government now wants to really shut things down with immigration in a stronger way. From the outside, I'm still waiting on. I haven't seen anything from the State Department yet, by the way, and I didn't check on it before coming. That's the truth. That's why I hadn't seen it, because I didn't look for it. But I will be, okay, to see what the State Department is saying, because I'm sure they're going to come out with some outlandish stuff. But the State Department is there, right, ready to deny visas, ready to cut things off. We take a deep breath with respect to that, and we'll wait to see what they have to say. Then USCIS is saying we're going to review everything for everybody under the Biden years who had been approved for asylum, because we don't trust their process, because obviously look what just happened. Although what just happened is based on someone who got his asylum grant under this current administration, and he was vetted by our FBI, the CIA, and all of those agencies. So it's really an outlier, guys. And then they're cutting, and then they're pausing all application processing for Afghan nationals. So it's a lot to think about. Um, the government is looking, Brian says the government is looking for anything to shut immigration off. I think this is the one thing they were looking for, honestly. This is the one thing. It only takes one, right? And this should not have even happened. I just don't, I'm still scratching my head and I'm trying to figure out how did this even happen? But, you know, these things do happen and it's awful. It's just, it's really, really, really awful. Um, Let's see. What do I think about the future of private sponsorship of Welcome Corps? I don't know. I don't even know anything about Welcome Corps. I don't know what is under plan for that. Um, I know that this is just that's out the door for this administration, right? And that we knew from day one. Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But I think what's really most what I think is most alarming, just to go back for a moment to the truth post, social post from yesterday or in the middle of the night, the president mentioned here so much, right? He touched on denaturalization. He touched on federal benefits, which he does not want green card holders to have. Okay. Um, then he talked about public charge. So again, this is going to poor people, right? It's okay, I think, for me to say that some of the policy making and thinking here is really based on poor people from third world countries that they don't really want to see more of here in the United States. Then it talks about terminating all of those millions of Biden illegal admissions. Well, they've already done that anyway. Okay. Um, then he talked about what else is here? um, let's see, a reduction in immigration, reverse migration. They just want everything to just go down again. They want those levels to just go down, just go down. And it's not realistic, right? For those levels to go down in such a dramatic fashion that they would like to see. Um, let's see. Someone is asking a super chat question. Is it risky for adjustment of status for someone with an exclusion order as a baby, married 10 years ago, 3 kids? You know what? Work with an immigration lawyer, New York Storyteller on this, okay? Work with an immigration lawyer on assessing your risk. With immigration now, if you have a removal order, if you have a removal order and you go into USCIS's field office, some of those field offices are taking very aggressive action. Not all of them are, just so you know, not all of them are, but some are. So that's why I said work with a lawyer to take a look at what field office you will be going through and what the climate is like there. Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's see. Conrad says, thank you for taking the time out to address us and educate us on these matters. Thank you so much, Conrad. I appreciate that. Guys, I'm going to jump off now and because I want to keep this video very short and punchy, almost punchy, but short for others who will be watching the replay. Again, share this with other people. Comment below. I will be in the comments as well, guys. I will be in the comments responding to some of your comments. So comment, and I will be back before you guys on Monday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern time for another live show. Although I might do a pop-up because, again, public charge is something that I'm ready to talk with you guys about. So if I find a few minutes this weekend, I will do another live session maybe about public charge. Okay. Thanks so much for being with me today, guys. Have happy Thanksgiving again and have a good rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.